This game between the Heat and Philadelphia was just an interesting one all around. No Tyler Hero at the last second. Philadelphia ended up getting Joel Embiid back. Miami's also without Jimmy, without Bam, without Caleb Martin, without all these other guys, and they've had some other guys step up tonight in this win. So I just want to go through some of the things we saw. We had just look at a game that had basically everybody. If we talk about team effort, when you hear that cliche phrase, this was the definition of it. I'm not gonna show anything about PJ Tucker, but he had moments, some big time corner threes. Midway through the fourth, Dwayne Dedman had some really good moments. Just all around, there were just guys all around. But I want to touch on the first one, Gabe Vincent, who just stepped up in an amazing way. I talked about before this game, and I said the only way Miami wins this game is if they get production. I mentioned Max Strus, who didn't have the greatest game, or Gabe Vincent. Like, they needed one of them to step up, the two ways from last season, to come up big. Gabe Vincent did come up big. So there's a lot of things we could touch on. He had a big-time three-point game, just kind of knocking them down consistently with hands in his face. But something I want to touch on is just the way he's utilizing screens at this stage. And I think that's really important as we're talking about a guy that is essentially a point guard. Like, he's playing a lot next to Kyle Lowry now, which has been huge for his production. But he still has the ball in his hands a ton. So I just want to go over some of the things we're seeing with him when he's getting these screens and running pick and rolls. We basically see a guy that's playing, looks like he's a quarterback behind his offensive line, especially with PJ Tucker, has a wide frame, and he's such a great screener. That's just what you're going to see. As we see this screen right here, PJ kind of turns forward. As I go back one more time, just watch Gabe. He's just so unpredictable with which way he's going. He ends up firing over the top. And that was just kind of the start of what was to come for him from beyond the arc. Like I said, the next ones that were coming, he had one just absolutely drenched corner three where the guy was just right in his face and he still hit it. It was just that kind of night. He even had the one where after they called the backcourt, he hit the half-court shot. That was just the night he was having. But just seeing him be able to not be predictable in a way that I feel like so many guys have been predictable, and it kind of goes in the opposite direction. This just shows a much better trajectory for a player of his caliber. Another one, he gets the screen, and we see right here, as I go back one more time, just the way these angles he's taking, it's just really new. Either Kyle sets the screen initially, he just keeps going through and it kind of refuses the screen against Dedman, especially with, I'm going to touch about it a little bit, but the Embiid, how low he's dropping on these possessions is just kind of an indication for him to do these snake dribbles inside. He does that right here. He gets behind, kind of gets Seth Curry on his hip. Embiid's forced to step up, and he feeds Dedman on the roll. Like, that is something that I 100% did not see from Gabe Vincent last season. There was no way that you were seeing him control a mid-range like that, control a possession like that, and control two defenders in a pick and roll like that. Like, that is just a total different Gabe Vincent. Some of it is confidence within making threes, but I feel like I've seen this other nights, even when the three-pointer isn't falling like that. This is just a new type of guy that has just improved all around in that way on the ball. Is another one. Let's look at one last one. That quick move is, I'm going to go back one more time. It's quick, but it's efficient. As we see right here, he makes a quick crossover and immediately turns his body. Like, he is very quick and just trying to changing direction in that way. Then immediately he can kind of, it's helpful for a screener because he can kind of just choose which way he wants to at the last second, and it allows the screener to kind of make that decision from there. As you see, he goes back. He now Seth kind of recovers. He still touches him, gets him on his back once again. We saw just in the last play, a few possessions before, he hits Dedman on the roll because of this very move. Right here, they're both going to kind of fly backward towards Dedman on the roll, and he hits a pull-up mid-range jumper. Like, this stuff, these options that he has are options that he just once didn't have. Like, seeing these extra things that he provides. That's one of the reasons Miami was in the position that they were in this game against Philly. Some other things, one of them, as I mentioned before, Duncan Robinson hitting threes. He was big all around. He had some big shots throughout. But something we've seen over and over and over, I just want to show this one possession because this is not one time. This probably happened at least 3 times in this game. And it's happened multiple times in games before, is that if you see Kyle Lowry on a fast break, if you see the shot clock in the 20s and they're running the break, he is going to find Duncan Robinson, and Duncan Robinson is going to touch the ball. There's no doubt about that. He just knows where Duncan Robinson is on the floor in these positions just because he knows how much of a threat he is in these spots. As you see right here, he's inside the lane. Duncan is the trailer. He finds Duncan. Duncan immediately fires and he hits it. It's just, that's an important shot for Duncan right there because it's early on. You need that. But it's just intriguing that even when Duncan has struggled, Kyle kind of especially looks for him in those spots and try to get him going on the break. Kyle's a great transition shooter himself because he had that one big shot that fell, I think it was late in the second quarter. But that's an important development. Another thing, as I talk about Embiid in this drop, it's interesting for Duncan because just to start the first quarter in the left wing, He had a handoff from Dedmon in this same exact way. He hit a three with a guy in his face. But as we see right here, if Dedmon can eliminate this Danny Green as his defender right here, Duncan has a wide open three every single time against this type of defense. So as I go back one more time and see this handoff, he's going to come around as Dedmon feeds him. Embiid is deep inside the paint. He gets the handoff to Duncan. Dedmon pretty much levels Danny Green, and Duncan Robinson is wide open. We talk about drop killers on this team. We talk about Tyler Hero being able to do this since his rookie year. He's able to dissect drop coverage, get to the elbow, get to the mid-range. Kyle Lowry is a guy that can do it continually because he can pick out defenders, bigger guys inside the mid-range and pull up. He has a very great mid-range jumper. He's actually shooting it better than he has in I think the last 4 seasons percentage-wise. They have a lot of guys that can do that. The interesting one I feel like we don't talk about enough is Duncan Robinson. Some of that is the early season struggles. I don't think we're talking about him positively in that sense anyway. But he's a drop coverage killer as well, just because of what you see right here is that if you have a big that's going that low and all you need is one screen to get Duncan Robinson an open three, like that is a game changer, especially when you have these other guys like Jimmy and Bam who come back later in the season. And as I'm talking about these other guys that could get to it, once again, Kyle has done it time and time again throughout his career. We see Embiid playing at the free throw line. All Kyle needs is just a little bit of space to beat his one individual defender off the screen. He does that, gets enough space, rises over the top of him, and hits a three. There are a lot of things, like I said, that went right for Miami tonight. Just guys that were hot, guys that got going, guys that hit big shots throughout. But they would not have been in the spot that they were in if they didn't kind of take advantage of these coverages. If they didn't take advantage of, it's kind of crazy to say that an MVP candidate is the guy you're taking advantage of, but it's not really him as much as it is the coverage overall, that this team is just very good against that type of defense. So I think in the playoff series especially, you kind of know what Miami can do, but in the regular season, this stuff can lead to W's even when you're without some of your main players, and we saw that tonight against Philly.